วันนี้วันที่14นะคะ14มิถุนายน2565ตรงกับวันขึ้น15ค่ำเดือน7ปกติแล้ววันพระหลวงแม่จะเทศเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะคะพอดีท่านวรยานีอยู่ตรงนี้หลวงแม่จะเทศเรื่องพระอาจารย์คัมภีร์เปล่าหลวงพี่ที่เคยรู้เรื่องนี้เป็นภาษาไทยแล้วจะได้ตามเรื่องได้ขออนุญาตวันนี้พูดให้ท่านวรยานีฟังI will be talking about a teacher, a monk during the Buddha's time. His nickname was the empty text. I think you might have already heard about him. I look at the Western people, or we say foreigners, who come to Buddhism. They come through Buddhism either they practice. They go to practice like, going to Goenka retreat and all that. So they are very well versed in the practice. And another group would come to reading. They're very interested in Buddhism and they start reading Buddhist texts. But in both groups, when they have read enough, they will start questioning about the practice. And they will start experiencing the practice themselves. Also, those who jump into this practice at one time, when they have practiced long enough, they will realize that they need to check their practice with the text. So these two groups of people, new Buddhists I call them, they merge into one and become very good Buddhists. Those who study Buddhism from outside, very interested in Buddhism, study very well and start practicing, I call them Buddhists by choice. They have chosen to become Buddhist. But we, born into this Buddhist land, born into the culture, born from the parents who are born Buddhist, we are Buddhist by chance. So what happened I am the one who coined this word, Buddhist by choice and Buddhist by chance. But because 95% of the population in Thailand, we are Buddhists. So there is no urge, there is no outside factor to force you to be interested to study our own religion. So when you come to Thailand, you might be disappointed that, you ask this friend, they really do not know much about Buddhism, because to them, Buddhism is the culture. They practice like this according to the tradition, and Thai people in general, they are very obedient, very sweet, very kreng-jai. They don't ask questions and they just take it for granted in their practice. But when you really dig, you really start wanting to know the reason or the teaching behind, very few of them can really explain to you the teaching of the Buddha. Now, in the Buddha's time, also there was a case like this that I often chose his story to talk about. He is well known. This particular monk, Thera, Mahathera maybe, he was well versed in the teaching of the Buddha, and he had many disciples finishing the study from him. But he himself did not practice. But many of his disciples, they have studied with him, but when they returned to their province, returned to their arama, they started to practice. And many of them became enlightened. Now the Buddha wanted this teacher, this master, to really be interested in the practice. It is a shame, he knew the Dharma only in the text and not so much in practice. So one time the Buddha was invited to this big ceremony, big function. And when they finish the function, usually all the monks will be standing there, just to say goodbye to the Buddha. So as the Buddha came out, passing through the lines of the bhikkhus, this master was standing there with his folded palms, paying respect to the Buddha. And the Buddha stopped in front of him and said, "Oh, how are you? How are you, my empty text master?" So he really took the message, and yes, I only study the text, and now I become the empty text, and I do not practice. So he was searching for teacher to guide him. he went to many of now renowned teachers who were actually his own disciples, studying from him. Now they have become enlightened, this Arahat and that Arahat. So he went to them, but none of them dared to teach him. Oh, Master, I cannot imagine myself teaching my own teacher, So they refused. All of them refused to give him any guidance towards the practice. So he came back to his kuti in the forest, and he was quite upset, desperate, wanting to practice, desperate. So he was weeping, sitting outside his kuti, and he was weeping. Now the three gods, one of the three goddesses living in the tree came out, sat next to him, and she also started crying and weeping. Now the master turned around to her, "Why are you sitting here? Why are you weeping?" She said, "Oh, Venerable Master, I don't know. I thought by weeping I will become enlightened. I follow you. I follow your practice." The master was even more ashamed that now look what I have done, to guide this the goddess of the tree, the three gods in a wrong way. So he was more desperate. Now he heard far away that somewhere there's this one Arahat, and this Arahat, he was only a Samanera, only 7 years old Samanera. So now he went in that direction, looking for this Samanera to guide him. As soon as he arrived at the Samanera enlightened Arahat. Samanera Arahat also said, "Oh, Venerable Master, I do not dare to teach you." But the Samanera realized that now this master is really desperate and really need guidance. And the master kept begging him to guide him. So this Samanera, just wanting to see whether he was still pompous, because he was a master, great master, very pompous. So he said, "Now you jump into the water there, just to test him whether he had let go of holding on to himself. I, me, my mind. I am the great master," like that, This master, now he really did not have any clinging on to this, holding on to himself anymore. As soon as he heard the Samanera asking him to jump into the water, he went directly, jumped into the water with his robe fully dressed, Then the Samanera walked after him and said, "Oh, come up," and to realize that the master has really given up holding on to this atta, I, me, my, mine. So come. I cannot teach you, Master. Change your robe first, dry your robe, change your robe. I cannot teach you. Still, I cannot teach you. But I can tell you the story of this ant hill, something like an ant hill. This ant hill, there are 6 holes, and this gecko. Okay, there is one gecko living in this ant mole, and you watch very carefully. Close the 5 holes, and watch only the last one, this hole number 6. Watch him there, and then you can catch this gecko. So the master understood right away that this is Ta Hu Jamuk Lin Kai Chai, this sense doors of perception. So soon he became enlightened. He understood the 5 doors. He closed eyes, ears, nose, tongue, only the mind. He was watching through the mind. So finally he was enlightened. So this is a story that I often tell my disciples, my students, when they indulge too much in textual reading, but forget that the practice is the part that we need to put our effort into. But of course, it needs to be balanced. The fact that you know textual knowledge, good, but we must experience the enlightenment, not just holding on to the text only. And this is, it is, all our effort. All of us all of us should put an effort into this. So the story about the empty text master is a reminder, a very good reminder that even in the Buddha's time, you also have this empty text. ใจฟังออกไหมเดี๋ยวทีหลังหลวงย่าจะฝึกภาษาจีนแล้วพูดให้ฟังฝึกเทศเป็นภาษาจีนแต่ภาษาที่มีความใกล้เคียงว่าจะเทศได้ใกล้ที่สุดในอนาคตน่าจะเป็นภาษาฮินดีเพราะว่าภาษาฮินดีกับภาษาบาลีสันสกฤตเนี่ยมันมีความใกล้เคียงกันแต่ว่าแม้กระนั้นเถิดเราก็จะเป็น empty text master อยู่นั่นแหละนะคะถ้าหากว่าเราไม่ได้สนใจในภาคปฏิบัติจริงๆ even our work when we work very hard yesterday we worked very hard put lots of effort into using this physical strength even during the time when we are working in the garden every minute watch our mind and we will see something beautiful yesterday we worked together very hard put lots of effort there's samakhi tham na there's lots of unity in the working but at the same time very careful we have to be very careful because when we work together particularly if we are working with ใช้งานใช้แรงงานนะ you have to be together สุนทรียา you have to be together with the other person who is helping you accident happen during the time when we are using lots of energy when you do not watch the others so what we practice then compassion metta karuna towards the person whom we are working with one time when we work in the garden some of us have more strength and some of us have less strength and those who have more strength feel how to say these people they don't have strength they just cumbersome come in our way I was one of them I was one of them they treated me as the one who has less strength so they were kind of get off my way something like that with that feeling they lift something without telling others and just drop my finger was torn I spent 7,000 to heal my finger simply because there is no unity when we work together I always say oh be careful it is your finger it is your finger นะหลวงพี่สุนทรียาต้องระมัดระวังมากๆโดยเฉพาะถ้าเราทำงานกับคนอื่นบางทีเราจะต้องดึงทางนี้มันจะไปมีผลทางโน้นนะคะ so apart from talking about this master who is the empty text master we also talk about unity during the time when we work together every time when we work with others always must be very careful and must always have compassion for the other party who is helping us so we work every evening sweating out together many work can be done if we just hire workers but certain work I feel that if we come together we can do it this little work we can do it I also have to measure our strength and a small group of our sangha we can do it but we need the technique to work is to be able to say today we are going to do this much do not see this big work because then you lose strength you can มันมากเกินไปงานมันใหญ่เกินไป so therefore today we are going to complete this much like that แต่วางขอบข่ายของงานนะคะวางขอบข่ายของงานแต่ละวันเราจะมีความรู้สึกว่าวันนี้เราได้ทำเสร็จตามที่เราได้วางเป้าหมายไว้ถ้าเรามีความรู้สึกว่าเราได้ทำเสร็จตามที่เราวางเป้าหมายไว้เนี่ยมันจะมีความสุขและดูงานประมาณนี้นะที่เหลือเป็นพรุ่งนี้อย่าไปพยายามทำจนหมดแรงแล้วเราจะมีความรู้สึกว่าหมดแรงแล้วงานก็ไม่เสร็จอีกนะงานก็ไม่เสร็จเราก็ไม่ได้ผลของการทำงานมีความเมตตาต่อคนอื่นใช่ไหมดูแลซึ่งกันและกันมีความเมตตาต่อตัวเราเองด้วย So actually I talk about two topics, but I join them together so that we can work together well. Today is full moon of 7th month, and the Bhikkhunis will be reciting Patimok. But before reciting Patimok, according to the Vinaya, we have to receive Ovada. Ovada means instruction. Instruction from a senior monk. Now the monk who is coming to teach us, he must have 10 qualities. 10 qualities. Of course, he must know well both the Patimok, he must know his Patimok well, and he must also know our Patimok, otherwise he cannot guide us. He is well versed in Dharma Vinaya, and he practiced Dharma Vinaya. เป็นผู้ทรงนะคะนอกจากจะเป็นผู้รู้แล้วเป็นผู้ทรงคือตัวท่านเองถ้าปฏิบัติธรรมวินัย and he must be, the last one is he must be at least 20 vasa. That is the last one, so the quality before that is more important. One which is very interesting, he must have compassion for Bhikkhunis. He must have compassion for Bhikkhunis. Yes, Venerable Master who is coming to us today, he was at the ordination of the Bhikkhunis in 1998. He was there. So of course at that time he was young, but he was interested. He was interested to see how the Bhikkhunis are now being given the first Upasambhada. He was interested, and he wrote a paper. He wrote a paper about his ideas about supporting the Bhikkhunis, and this is printed in Thai version. We have in our bookstore. So at least the master who is coming. At 1 o'clock we meet in the library. Okay.